What's going on, everybody? It's Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Black Boss Channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. I got my special guest today, Mr. Larry O'Bannon, my cousin down there in Atlanta, former professional basketball player now. I guess
Yeah,
we could say
retired.
former. He retired, 15 years overseas, Final Four with the University of Louisville. Larry, how's it going, man?
Man, I appreciate you, cuz. It's been a long time coming, man. I'm glad to finally be here and talk to you, man.
Hey, absolutely, absolutely. Now, Larry, before we get into your professional career and everything like that, how is your family? How is the life transitioning after basketball? How's that been for you?
Man, it's been great. I have no desires to go back and play competitively anymore. I stay in shape now just to make sure I'm able to play with my son, once he gets older and my future kids. But, man, it was wonderful, man. And, I'm coaching now, coaching a high school team. And so just enjoying the family, coaching, just relaxing, man. That's the main thing. When you work so hard, you've been dedicated to a craft for so many years. Uh, you put your all into it. Now it's just kind of time to relax and, just kind of kick your shoes off a little bit and enjoy the time with your family and loved ones that you missed and sacrificed so much now. So you just kind of kick back and relax now.
Now, Larry, you played, like I said, 15 years overseas. If you can remember, if you can tell me, what are some of the teams overseas that you played for, and what was that experience like playing so long basketball for so long at the professional level like for you?
It was great, man. As I got older, it was tough being over there by myself and being away from my family for so long. I think that was probably more so what made me retire more than anything. I probably could have played a couple of more years, but just kind of got tired of being by myself. But man, the great part about I played in Serbia. I played in a team called Red Star in Belgrade. Really cool place, man. Very rowdy. So when I see Nikola Jokic get into it with guys, he talk about I'm from Serbia. I understand what he means by that. I've lived there. Lived in Italy for a couple of years. I played there. I played in Russia. I played in France. I played in Israel for quite a few years. I played in South America and Argentina for some years too. I really enjoyed it down there in Buenos Aires. So uh, nice spread out places, throughout the world. Nice balance of, different continents, South America and Europe. So just enjoyed it, man, over the 15-year course.
15 years doing anything is a long time, man. So what are some of the things? I mean, it is, especially playing a
Yeah.
professional basketball. So what some people would call a kids game, to get paid to play basketball for so long and have a flourishing career. Just, I mean, what are some of your biggest takeaways from, because you didn't start playing basketball professionally. You played basketball from a kid all the way up until now. Just what are some of the things, or some of the most enjoyable things about playing basketball for so long, especially even at the professional level?
Just like you said, honestly, just being able to play something that you would do, I would do for free, and whether I got paid or not. I would play basketball. So to be able to play and to make a living off of it was wonderful. You couldn't ask for a much better blessing. It's just great. Create memories. You get to create networks. You meet so many wonderful people, create lifelong friends, and just relationships and bonds through athletics. A lot of my friends, a lot of my best friends that I have to this day, that even were in my wedding, I met playing basketball. So that's one of the great things about it, is that it brings you closer to people that you become bonded with, and just really get a chance to enjoy and just try new things, man. That's what playing overseas allowed me to, live in new cultures, try new things, new foods, meet new people, learn new languages. So that was kind of cool thing about it, man. So basketball's been wonderful. It's been great. It's been great to me, my family. My family's got a chance to travel, see different landmarks that they never thought that they would. So, uh, man, it's just been awesome.
That's awesome, man. Once again, we're talking to Larry O'Bannon, 15-year pro overseas national basketball ranks. Larry, you played in college for the University of Louisville. You guys were able to go to a Final Four back in 2005. Unfortunately, it's the last Final Four that technically counts for U of L, I want to say. But just you played for the legendary coach Rick Pitino. Just what was it like playing for Coach Pitino, and what was it like playing at U of L during that time for Rick? And just talk to me about some of your fond memories at playing during that time.
Man, it was wonderful. It's tough. It's tough. I mean, he really pushes you to get in shape. He really, gets every single thing out of you between between the lines. Time you walk into the basketball court, he's gonna get every ounce of talent, energy, perspiration that he can out of you, man. Off the court, treats us like kings, first class. We eat at nice restaurants, we travel nice, stay in nice hotels. Great guy, do anything in the world for you off the court. But between those lines, man, he's very intense. Like I said, it's not easy. It's not for everyone, but he gets the best out of you and pushes you and gets you where you need to go. Teach you a lot of life lessons.
Now, being a former, there, Rick Pitino, U of L, just when the game's over from the college perspective, are you able to stay in touch with some of your teammates? Are you able to stay in touch with the program? Kind of how was that like for a guy of your stature and a guy who played for a prestigious program like the University of Louisville?
I did. I still keep in touch with some of my coaches to this day. A lot of my teammates, for the years that I was playing professionally, I would go back during the summertime when I was home. I would work out at the University of Louisville, play with the guys, work out during individual sessions sometimes. I lift with the infamous Ray Ganong, the strength and conditioning coach that was there for so long. Man, I don't have a 15-year career without him. So I would come back and work out with him, pretty much doing my same college lifting regimen. And Fred Hina, the head trainer there. And so, I was always around. Whenever I would go and work out, I would go up to the gym, because a lot of times the guys weren't there, wasn't nobody in there. So I was able to lock in and focus and get done what I needed done. Sometimes if you go to a public gym or something like that, you kind of lose focus, or people distracting you, or, different things that kind of get you off task of what you're there to do. So a lot of times it was pretty cool, man, that the doors were always open, that you were able to go in there and work out and get what you need to get done and get out of there.
Yeah, now Larry, playing, for so long, just now you're transitioning to your family life. Now you're transitioning to coaching, as you mentioned earlier. Now you're transitioning out of basketball, at least at the professional ranks, or living ranks, and now you're being a husband, a father, and those type of things. Like, how is that transition now that you don't have to go to work or go to practice or go to games, and you're in the States once again? What's that transition been like for you?
Man, it's been cool, man. Honestly, practice was probably the thing that really kind of bogged me down the most. I love competing and playing in the game, but as I got older, man, I got tired of practice. Practicing every day, twice a day. I'm a gym junkie. I love to stay fit, but sometimes those 2.5 practices twice a day, in cold gyms and stuff like that, they kind of get old, man. But I'm a father now. My son, my wife, I'm married, got a lovely wife. It's probably the best thing for me, man. Just to kind of be home with them, even coaching sometimes kind of takes up some of my time, but be at home with my wife, my son, just kind of being a couch potato, playing with him. He's learning, he's, kind of getting an itch for basketball. Got him a basketball goal. He's picking up the ball and shooting it in the goal. So these are probably, the best experiences for me, man. I really don't even think about playing a whole lot anymore. I just sit back and enjoy my family, man. That's probably the best thing for me. Sometimes, it's even better than playing for me.
Hey, that's awesome, man. That's awesome to hear. That's awesome to see. Just now that you've transitioned out of basketball, at least from the playing perspective, do you still follow along? Do you keep up with either U of L or the professional ranks, and how do you follow along those? Do you?
I do. I keep up with U of L whenever, if I'm not playing, if I don't have my own game. If U of L's on, I'm always tuned in. I jump in on Twitter sometimes if I'm watching the game and interact with people, or just kind of tweet different things that's going on. I watch the NBA. I like watching certain players play. I don't watch it just to watch it all the time. Um, but I do like watching certain players play. Obviously, I like watching LeBron play, but I like watching Giannis, some of the superstars play. I really enjoy watching um, Joel Embiid. I like watching him. Who else? I'm a fan of Rondo. He's a good friend of mine, so I like watching and supporting him. Anybody, Keenan Martin, anybody from the 502 that's doing well, I try to watch and support those guys. But other than that, I don't really watch a whole lot of NBA. I like more so college basketball.
Okay, hey, that's great. I'm more of a college myself too. I love watching college, and I love watching the from Louisville. Once again, we're talking to Larry O'Bannon, 15-year NBA vet, Final Four finalist with the University of Louisville back in 2005. Now, Larry, you talked about Rondo, you talked about the guys from the 502, but For some of those guys, they've been a part of your podcast. Now, talk to me about your podcast, kind of how that came about, and what's the uncensored Larry O'Bannon podcast. What's that all about?
The Player's Perspective Uncensored Podcast with Larry O'Bannon. Podcast that really it's been going on for a couple of years now, something that I've been thinking about. It's been going since 2019. Probably started my thought process in 2018. Just hanging out with my friends, playing spades, and we just have conversations, talk about different things. And I'm like, man, it'd be pretty cool to, start a podcast and just have some of these conversations that we normally have. And so I started thinking about it, and originally I was going to have a group of guys on there. And so from time to time, I have different guys on, some of my friends, but kind of tweaked it and said, what if we talk to different basketball players and sort of get some behind the scenes things about what they think about, what motivates them, what's inspiring them. And I also became a bourbon fan. And so I said, nobody really talks about sports and bourbon. And so, I just kind of combined the two. They's like, you going to talk about bourbon? I said, man, talk about what I want to talk about. That's why it's uncensored. And so, I think it's one of a kind. You don't really have a lot of shows to talk about spirits and talk about sports. So something that I really enjoy. I haven't got a chance to be as consistent with it as I want to, but we try to put out podcasts, a few times a month just to keep our audience nice and satisfied.
Yeah, man, you've had some really dope U of L legends to former NBA players. What are some of the cool stories that you've been able to hear from the podcast that your audience may have enjoyed, that maybe even my audience might enjoy?
I would probably tell them to go listen to the Daryl Griffith podcast. I would tell them to listen to the Samaki Walker podcast. Samaki Walker was talking about the whole saga between Jim Jackson, Jason Kidd, Jamal Mashburn, and Tony Braxton. And so he talked about that whole ordeal. We talked about Daryl Griffith. We talked about some of his infamous stories of him signing autographs. What else sticks out in my mind? I got Ellis Miles coming out on the podcast tomorrow. That'll be a really good one. Derek Anderson was a good podcast. But Griff, Samaki Walker, and that was probably my top. Michael Bush was pretty good as well. Michael Bush had a lot to say on his podcast, so he had a really, really good one. So those are the main ones. But we have wonderful guests, man. We have a bunch of wonderful guests still coming up. We got Luke Hancock coming up. We got Ellis Miles coming out this week. Probably have another tasting with Rondo pretty soon. We got some more bourbon master distillers coming up. Great podcast. Ebony Major, another podcast that episode. I can't remember the number, but she was a wonderful guest, man. Real personality, lovely young lady that I had on my podcast. It was a pleasure and an honor to be able to have her on. She was one of the first Black master distillers in the industry. She talked about what it was like for her not only being African American, but also being a female in the industry, being a master blender, not a master distiller, master blender. She had a wonderful episode, so it's definitely one that I would recommend go listen to as well. But it's a great podcast. Definitely hope that some of you guys subscribe, listen to it, give me your feedback. I'd love to continue to grow as a podcast. It's something we look forward to growing, man.
Yeah, no, I love tuning in, man. I really love the bourbon perspective because, like you said, it's different. I'm a bourbon connoisseur myself, kind of, and I get put on by listening to your stuff, the Wellers and all these different things. They were sending you bottles, and I was like, "Yo, what is that?" So I'll go check it out, see what it is, and I'm like, "Oh man, this is some good stuff." I learned it right from listening to your podcast because I would have never ever known about it. I thank you for that, Larry. I don't want to hold you for too, but I do want to talk more basketball, talk about Coach Pitino and what he's able to do, right now with Iona. What are you seeing from Coach Rick? Are you surprised by the fact that he's having so much success at a school like Iona, like most people like myself have never heard of before, and that he's able to make things happen, like upset the number 10 team in the country? What are your thoughts on Coach Pitino and his he's having at Iona?
Coach is a great coach. He's going to make whatever team or program he's coaching at, he's going to make them relevant. He's going to turn them into a wonderful basketball team. So it's not surprising, man. His style of play, the way he coaches, he's prepared. Anything's possible with him, as you've seen with our team. We weren't the most talented. We had, we had good talent, but we weren't the most talented. But our style of play and his coaching was able to get us where we needed to go. But no, not surprised at all, man. I think it's got more to come as he gets able to recruit and get the players that he wants that fit his style. I wouldn't be surprised to see more games and more upsets like the one versus Alabama.
No, here I love me some Rick Pitino, man. I ain't even gonna act like the funk at all. I love Rick. I love what he's doing at Iona. I love what he did at Louisville. I hate the way it ended. That's another story for another day. Larry, I want to get you out on this, man. I love the stuff that you're doing with the podcast. If you could just give some, you kind of touched on a little bit, but give the people like what is coming next from Larry O'Bannon from the Players Perspective podcast, and what are some of the things you might have in the works?
The Players Perspective Uncensored podcast. You can check us out on YouTube. Our channel is the Players Perspective podcast. On Instagram, our page is the Players Perspective podcast. On Twitter, we're always tweeting the PPU podcast. Like I said, again, this week we got Ellis Miles coming on the podcast. We got Luke Hancock coming up pretty soon. Working on getting a couple more guys. I can't say for sure who's locked in, but as of right now, those are the two probably the next episodes that'll be coming out. Ellis Miles will be released this week, and Luke Whitehead will be following that. Also working on getting a couple NBA guys on the podcast as well, and a couple Master Distillers. So that's what's in the works, man. Right now, the schedule's kind of hectic between family, coaching, and working as well. So I'm not able to put them out as often as I am because I'm in season. But we try to get them out at least every couple times a month to put episodes out and, really bring some good audiences, not audience, but just episodes and good guests for you guys to listen into. So the Players Perspective Uncensored, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you can find us on any of your favorite podcast platforms. Great guests, great bourbon, reviews, talks, hosts with guests. And so check us out and let us know what you think.
Absolutely, absolutely. Once again, we're talking to Larry O'Bannon from the Player Perspective podcast, 15-year veteran professional basketball player. Larry, I'll get you out on this, man. You work hard. You graduated from the University of Louisville. You went to the Final Four. You did all these things for the city of Louisville, the university. Just what has it been to be an alumni of the University of Louisville? What has the support been like from Card Nation, from the fan base, just with you and all your endeavors?
Oh, it's been great. Every time I'm home, you always walk out. People, appreciate what you did for the city. They always want to show love. Once a card, always a card. They always want to come up and talk about stories with the Final Four run, about playing for Rick Pitino, about playing in Freedom Hall. So it's always love, man. Every time I come home, people always show support. They talk about, how's it like playing overseas? How's everything going? Family. So it's always cool, man, when people want to stop and just kind of talk and support and talk sports a little bit and catch up on some memories and talk about the current teams and current situation with Coach Mack and the Cards and, how things are going. So it's always love, man. It's always great reception anytime I'm home and I'm in the city.
Well, we appreciate you, Larry, man. Thank you for taking a few minutes out your stopping by, talking with me. Once again, it's Jeff Lightsy Jr. with the Black Boss Channel, speaking with Larry O'Bannon from the Player Perspective Podcast. Be sure to go like, share, subscribe to our channel and to the Player Perspective.